Okay, we had the new parts come through from the factory. We'll get them on the car ahead of FP1.
Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to an episode of my F1 2018 career mode, episode number 85 today for the German Grand Prix here in Season 5. If you guys did miss the previous episode, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one, uploaded 2 days ago at the British Grand Prix. A fairly dramatic one, to say the least, but we head into this now with finally that brakes update that failed on us once, and we had to repurchase the end of last episode, and so with a minor upgrade, we closed the gap somewhat to Renault there. You can see on this zoomed-in shot, but you can see Renault still maintain their lead in the performance chart there, with Red Bull still maintaining their little small advantage on McLaren, who pretty much plateaued since the French Grand Prix there. But improvements from other teams like Williams, actually they try to close up finally on the rest of the grid, but it's still going to be a tight fight. And obviously Hockenheim long back straight there towards the hairpin, so I imagine that, you know, Renault, McLaren are going to look pretty damn strong, and Red Bull might actually struggle despite being the third fastest on the grid, and probably most likely TYRE will be turning up there with their good acceleration and quite light and nimble car, it would seem, in the previous few episodes especially. But after the last episode for us, we need a big recovery moment here. Spoiler alert now, obviously it's been long enough into this video. We had that DNF after being crashed out by a lapped car, something that's happened to both me and Sebastian Vettel now in the season. So I don't know if Williams have something against Ferrari, but they've taken 2 of our cars out in about 4 episodes span. So yeah, that was not the ideal ending to that race, which was already quite a glitchy race because I had that weird glitch where the Sauber kind of stopped in the middle of the track. All round an episode to kind of forget in a way, but in many ways also adds to the drama here. We're now on reputation 0 with Ferrari, which I honestly don't know what that means for us in the future of this season. Hopefully Ferrari don't get any more pissed off with me, and hopefully we do a good job this race to not piss them off any further immediately after the calamity of the Silverstone race. So we're going to go straight into Q1 then here at Hockenheim. Hopefully it is going to be a good one, because generally speaking, I really like Hockenheim on the F1 2018 game. It's one of my favourite tracks on the calendar actually to drive. A really nice flowing circuit here, and our car generally went well last season here at Hockenheim. Actually, remember Raikkonen won this race from P18 last season, so I'm hoping that at least one of us can do well in that kind of sense, but both of us can equally score quite highly for Ferrari. So Q1 was a pretty straightforward affair, then into Q2, and it would seem our car had some decent pace. I was up there in P11 rather than being just about there in P15. But we move on to Q2, all sunny still here at Hockenheim. There doesn't look to be any rain forecast for this entire race weekend, which is music to my ears compared to what we had last time out at the British Grand Prix. But a bit of a scruffy first lap, I would say. You know, a few little bumps and bruises here, you know, through the apex is just taking a bit too aggressive maybe, and then on the exit I think a bit of snap of oversteer here and there. So we come through the last flying corner, and I know it's probably not going to be an amazing lap time. We're P7 there, but it won't be in the top 10 by the time we go through the session towards the end. We're out of the top 10, P11. Verstappen, funnily enough, trying to make it into the top 10 with the soft tyre, which is 2 tyre compounds harder than the Ultra is, so I don't think he's going to have much luck. And I'm P11, so there's a chance maybe that this works out better for us strategically, because of course if we do get a free choice of tyres, we could go onto a set of softs at the beginning of the race, but ideally I'm still going to try my best to try and get to the top 10 shootout. So at the moment we're in P12, but I kind of know in a way it's not going to be the end of the world if we do get knocked out here. It seems like for some reason I just can't find the time actually for some reason around Hockenheim this season compared to last, where we did pretty damn well in qualifying. So, but nonetheless, we're going to try and improve the best we can on this lap. We go purple in the first sector, so going pretty well. We actually go purple in the second sector as well, so I don't know if that's actually genuinely purple the entire session, because sometimes it can just mean the fastest you've ever done in the qualifying so far. But we get hit with a little bit of traffic in terms of the Sauber right in front of me, maybe giving me a tiny bit of dirty air there in the last sector, losing some time with some oversteer. But through the final 2 corners, they cross the line. Although it is going to be a fairly big improvement, it's not going to improvement enough to even move me off P12. So very baffling session there. I gained so much time and remain in the same place. Vettel makes it through into P7, so maybe our car just isn't going too well. Surprised to see Leclerc right up there in P5, that is, ahead of Carlos Sainz actually, in the 2 McLarens and the Taurus of Gasly with a very surprising P2 there. But yeah, we're out along with Max Verstappen. It looks like Ricciardo got knocked out even before. Then I missed that. Then I think Ricciardo got knocked out in Q1 then, so misery start to the weekend for Red Bull Racing. But from P12, like I said, not the end of the world. Raikkonen won the German Grand Prix last season from P18 on a one-stop strategy. I think we could do fairly well from P12 on a one-stop here. It means we can open ourselves up to choosing the tyre compound rather than having to start on Ultras. So actually, this might be quite a big blessing in disguise, actually. So let's go to the race. I'm actually quite positive about this, so I'm looking forward to this one.
Good afternoon and welcome to a place that is very special to us all in the Formula One community. It's the Hockenheim ring, home of the German Grand Prix. Always good for a close scrap is Hockenheim. Think back to Alonso, Ricciardo, Vettel as recently as 2014, and I'm expecting some more strong racing today. We're racing in the Rhine Valley this weekend at the home of many of the sport's finest competitors. The 2.8-mile Hockenheim ring requires precision through the technical stadium section and great raw speed down the long, flat-out curve towards the popular overtaking zone of the Turn 6 hairpin. Watch out for a lot of wheel-to-wheel action there today. Anthony Davidson is here once again for today's Grand Prix. Let's talk about the engineer. No grid penalties, no mitigating circumstances, just a poor qualifying performance and a very disappointing start position for them today.
They'll have a sinking feeling as they look up from the cockpit and realise they're in a different postcode to the start line for sure. But the one positive they can hold on to is that the car is quick and they can make their way through the field.
Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Perfect lap yesterday sees him start from pole position. A very happy Carlos Sainz will start second. Looking down the rest of the grid we have Alonso, Hülkenberg, Kevin Magnussen and Grosjean. Leclerc, Gasly, Van Dorn and Brendan Hartley. Hamilton, the engineer, Marcus Ericsson and Perez. Verstappen, Ocon, Valtteri Bottas and Sergei Sorokin. Stroll and Daniel Ricciardo rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
And surprise, surprise, just like the Austrian Grand Prix, when I'm not into Q3, then the usual glitched thing happens in the top 10 shootout where the performances are Season 1 performances, so my teammate Vettel is on pole position then. So definitely probably hasn't helped my reputation with the team, but like I said, from P12, we have the opportunity to pull off a one-stop here. Soft tire to the mediums. The medium tires go quite a fair bit, but the softs themselves are to go quite a long way, up till about lap 15 we can make it, which is just under halfway distance of the entire Grand Prix. So it really, you know, if we didn't have the tyre rule of having to do two different compounds, we could literally do a one stop with two sets of softs if we wanted to. But of course, we have to change tyres at some point. So the best strategy is actually to go as long as we can on softs and then use the mediums for about 16 laps there at the end of the Grand Prix. So that will be the game plan. It worked for Raikkonen last season and won him the Grand Prix. Obviously, the cars have moved on since then, and we've got maybe stronger competitors going against us. So the two stop might work out for some of these guys, but it's our best shot at aiming for minimum, maybe even the podium, hopefully today, and trying to combat Sebastian Vettel from pole position, basically. But we're just going to have to get into this and see how it works out at the end of the day. Here we go then to 5 red lights to the German Grand Prix from P12 on the grid. 5 lights are out and we're underway, and it's initially a good start, but then we really bogged down in second, third gear. The soft tyre versus the ultra softs there. Clearly, you can see the difference in performance, the two difference of tyre compounds into turn 1, then remaining in P12. Just trying to see if we can find any space on the outside, maybe of Hamilton, as he leaves the gap there. Trying to maybe go for a move on the Toro Rosso, but he himself, the Toro Rosso Hartley, is trying to make a move on Stoffel Van Dorn. A poor qualifying day then for both McLarens, obviously, after that glitch kind of top 10 shootout here. So we try and make our way through Hamilton. He squeezed us quite aggressively there. The hand of anger had to go out as we now try and maybe suss a move down the inside. Maybe the Toro Rosso, I'm lucky, no, not quite, as now we've got 6 cars really closely packed together there. The 2 Toro Rossos, the likes of the Haas cars as well, who did really well in Q3 then. So both Haas, been a while since we've seen them in the top 10 shootout. But anyway, leading the Grand Prix then is Carlos Sainz, actually, the Spaniard in the Renault. He's already got and jumped Sebastian Vettel on the opening lap then. He's down to second place, followed by Fernando Alonso in third, Hülkenberg in fourth place then. So already the Renaults flexing their muscles a tad, and I would not be surprised if Hülkenberg close up the order eventually to match Sainz to make it a 1-2 for Renault soon enough. Or we might see Fernando Alonso maybe spike in there with a surprise performance. But for us on lap 3, we're still chasing his teammate Stoffel Van Dorn, who now goes and tries to go around the outside of Romain Grosjean there in the Haas. So the Haas may have had an improved qualifying due to that glitch in Q3, and so they might be going back down the order, as we haven't really seen them in the top flight in this entire season so far for the points paying position. So Grosjean dispatched off by Van Dorn quite easily on the outside, that usually flat out right-hander in most cases, even on heavy fuel. But actually, to my surprise, Grosjean coming back at him into turn 1 and 2 then. The French Frenchman down the inside of the Belgian man, and he's going to actually make the overtake done before we get to the DRS activation point here, so maybe Van Dorn can just easily get him back. But now we might have the chance of having a double toe. Of course, the Ferrari, very good in a straight line with DRS open these days, with a double DRS upgrade we made in the last few episodes. And down the inside of both of them there, Van Dorn, though, with a big brake zone. But we come back initially then in the second phase then of the brake zone, and we're back up into P9, just about on the exit, though. A bit of a drag race. Van Dorn keeps his foot in there, but on the outswing on the right-hand side, we're able to keep it up there and cut across, and we're going to maintain P9 there. But very odd braking zone there in the hairpin versus the AI. The AI seemed to carry way more speed there, but then slow down in the apex. But now as we move on, lap number 6, and we've got yellow flags into turn 1. A car with an issue. They're going very slowly. We're going to have to take some evasive action there and just think on our feet. It's Pierre Gasly who's going very slowly. Sergei Sorokin's out the Grand Prix, so dare I say Williams has struck again of a car, maybe? No, we're going to look at a replay. It's actually going to be a puncher for Pierre Gasly. Very random puncher, just across the line on the pit straight. His right tyre just goes pop. I didn't even see any debris there, so I don't know, maybe the Williams had a issue on the main straight, and some of his kind of front wing maybe cut his tyres, or just a random unlucky, very unlucky failure for Pierre Gasly. So we had to take some evasive action there, but luckily did not crash into him like the Williams last episode. But now, soon enough, Carlos Sainz, Sebastian Vettel and Fernando Alonso will finally come in for their first pit stop. Hockenheim actually continues on for a little bit longer there, so it will eventually be Hockenheim, followed by, you've got the likes of Magnussen, and then the Toro Rosso, Brendan Hartley, and then you've got myself chasing after those guys then in P4. So already quite up the order. Remember, we're doing a 1-stop. Magnussen on the ultra tyres will be doing a 2. I imagine Hockenheim the same, really, unless he takes these tyres much longer. As we now go through onto lap 8, we've got more yellow flags behind us. I think that's Gasly still going around with a punch. He's not actually at this Grand Prix yet, funnily enough. But we're up into P1. There you go. Hockenheim makes his pit stop, and he's going to be out. He actually looks like he's going to maintain second place. Look at that. Hockenheim on the top left there. He's still in second place. Vettel's up into third. So Vettel was behind Sainz before the pit stop phase. Looks like Sainz has been jumped in the pit stops by Vettel. But then if you keep looking in the top left, eventually I think Sainz will re-overtake Vettel down this back straight. Unfortunately, I forgot to record a replay camera of it, so you're going to have to take my word for it. In the top left there, Sainz up into third place. But I don't know how Hockenheim's pulled that off. He's pit onto a set of soft tyres then, and he's come out ahead of Sainz and Vettel. So I think Vettel jumped Sainz in the pit lane, but then both of them equally must have got held up so much in traffic that Hockenheim got the jump on both of them, because he did make a pit stop there, because that's the only way I got up into first place. So very surprising there, but the reigning world champion with a good piece of strategic driving, I guess, maintain some track position and just go out there and set some good in-laps before he came in for his delayed first pit stop there. But now we just continue on, trying to do the best job we can in first place. Of course, we're just going as long as we can up until lap 15 for that first pit stop onto medium tyres, and all the while, the likes of Sainz, Hockenheim and Vettel might be closing me up, as well as Fernando Alonso on those kind of faster compounded tyres, although Hockenheim's on the same set of soft tyres as me now, so it might just be Sainz and Vettel that are going to be able to close up on me, with Hockenheim perhaps trying an alternative strategy of going ultra soft ultra rather than 2 sets of ultras and then a soft tyre. So we move on to lap 11 then, and Sainz already overtaken his teammate, rapidly closing up on me through the last 2 corners. He might have a chance to overtake me as we go through onto lap 12. We've still got 3 laps to go in this Grand Prix before a pit stop, but this safety car has been called out, full safety car, and so now this might just save us a little by being overtaken by Sainz, but also might hinder us in a way. We'll have to see about that, but the safety car's called out for this incident then between the 2 Frenchmen. This is Esteban Ocon, who is still racing out there trying to chase after his teammate, but that's Pierre Gasly, who is actually lapped in this situation. He's not actually racing for position. He's trying to unlap himself, ironically, on Esteban Ocon there. Around the outside he goes, and he spins round Ocon, and Ocon crashes out the German Grand Prix. So the big irony there is that Esteban Ocon is crashed out of his race by a lapped car. The game keeps poking fun at it, doesn't it? We've had 3 instances of lapped cars now causing instances in this career mode so far, ever since the real-life Brazilian Grand Prix. I don't know if that's on purpose by the game, but it just keeps happening for some reason. But there you go. But we're now going to move back onto our POV, and the safety car is going to come in on this lap. And so we've maintained our first place. We're not pit, because there was no point of us making a pit stop, because Sainz, Hockenheim, Vettel and Alonso were all right behind me. If I'd made a pit stop, I wouldn't have gained a free pit stop, because I would have just lost track position to them. Even if they are going to make another pit stop in this race, I may as well just go to lap 15 and then make that stop to to ensure the medium tyres go the distance. But now we've got an interesting situation because Sainz might be able to get me on the jump here. And that might be bad news for us if we want to still try and go for the win, because if these guys jump me, we all have one more pit stop to make in this race. And so basically I need to try my best to maintain the track position. So much like the Bahrain Grand Prix was it, I'm going to try my best to slow these guys down and try and accelerate at a point of the track where I can maybe try and get away from them and get a bit of a jump, because we know how good the AI are on these restarts here. So we're going to wait for the 2 last corners and try and accelerate in a straight line before we get to the last corner. And to that effect, we're pretty much going to go now and plant the power down halfway through that mini straight into the last corner. Probably not the best exit I could have hoped for, as Sainz is right there as we move on to lap 14, then 20 laps to go in this Grand Prix. But we defend to the inside in such a way that Sainz kind of tried to snake around and follow our slipstream, and I think he kind of hindered his own run into turn 1, because now Hockenheim dives around the outside there, and the German tries to overtake his Spanish teammate there into turn 2 and 3. He might get a good slingshot on the main straight there. You've got Sebastian Vettel not too far behind. He might get involved. It looks like Vettel's actually closer to Hockenheim than Hockenheim is to Sainz there. So will Vettel make anything happen? No, he actually hits Hockenheim's rear end there, and so Vettel lucky not to get any damage there. That definitely would have been a bit nasty and unfortunate. So early on in this Grand Prix, kind of relative to everything, for Vettel to get some damage there, as well as Fernando Alonso. But eventually then Carlos Sainz will come in not too far away after that safety car came in. Same with Sebastian Vettel, Alonso, and also I think that was Leclerc. Sauber doing a great job there in the top 7 so far in this Grand Prix. So it's another Austrian Grand Prix fiasco there for the Saubers, doing pretty damn well in performance terms. But now we move on to lap 16, and we are going to come in on this lap. Hockenheim's followed us in, and he's still going to keep going, I think, because remember, he pits a lot later than everyone else, and he's on the softs, not the ultra soft tyres, so he can go a lot longer, and so he knows what he's doing. I think he's getting a great overcut here at Hockenheim. But we come in for our medium tyres then, and so this will be our one and only pit stop in this Grand Prix. So the question is, where do we come out relative to Sebastian Vettel and Carlos Sainz, and also the likes of Alonso, Leclerc, really all the 2 stoppers really that were in our race. And the other question will be how these medium tyres fare against the soft tyres. I'm assuming that most of these 2 stoppers are going to run to the end of this Grand Prix. So we come out the pit lane, then there is Charles Leclerc in the Sauber. Now remember, he was behind Carlos Sainz and Sebastian Vettel, so that got me very worried at where we were in this Grand Prix. We're P12, Vettel's actually behind us then. He actually catches up to us after overtaking Lewis Hamilton, and we're both chasing after Lance Stroll in the Williams, doing a crazy good job at the moment in the top 10, although we'll try and spoil the party. We'll be overtaking very easily through turns 1 and onto turn 2, up into P9 then. But yeah, Leclerc is ahead of us. Sainz is ahead of us, I'm pretty sure, on the minimap there. So the only big loser has been Sebastian Vettel, somehow losing out to both Sainz and Leclerc. But anyways, Vettel behind us will overtake Lance Stroll there. You can see on the top left on the minimap, very, very close, as Hamilton now goes for the move on Stroll, but will also, oh my god, dive down the inside of Sebastian Vettel. Then Hamilton with the biggest dive bomb ever at the hairpin to not try and make 1 pass, but 2 on Vettel. And so Vettel now has to fight Hamilton through the right-hander there, just in front of the Mercedes grandstand. Vettel gets it back ahead of Hamilton then, but a crazy dive bomb then from our fella a bit. But then, to my surprise, Vettel comes in immediately on that next lap, as well as Hamilton there. Very, very odd, and I'm so confused because Vettel only just came in 3-4 laps ago. So I don't know if he didn't have any ultra-soft tyres left, any fresh ones, and that's why he's had to come in. But now, later in this Grand Prix, the leader, Brent Hartley, comes in eventually, as well as Carlos Sainz coming in. Ricciardo comes in. You've got also the other Toro Rosso who's lapped coming in for a pit stop. Hockenheim, who was around P5 now, is going to swing through into the lead of this Grand Prix, and we're going to come through up into 2nd place. This will be ahead of Verstappen, Ricciardo, Sainz, Hartley, and yeah, so we're up into P2. Great stuff there, but I'm just so confused now. Vettel's come in for an extra pit stop. Sainz has come in for an extra pit stop. Leclerc's come in for an extra pit stop. All these guys are doing a 3-stop now. Hockenheim has never been a 3-stop, but for some reason, some crazy tyre air issues in this Grand Prix have meant that everyone was really struggling in those ultras and maybe didn't have enough set of ultras left, and they've only now gone into soft tyres. And so somehow, after initially thinking, okay, we're going to be down in P5, unfortunately, I'm now somehow up into P2. Yeah, so I don't know how that's actually happened, but there we go. So now we move through later in this Grand Prix, that 27, and we're just trying to do the best job we can at trying to carry carry home this P2, but at the moment Verstappen on softer compounded tyres is coming at me, as well as Brent Hartley not too far behind him, so we might have some more fighting to do for this podium. But to be fair, I'll take it, because I didn't think we were going to be even on the podium at one stage, because Sainz and Leclerc were ahead of me, and the only man I had jumped was Vettel in that kind of one-stop V2 stop. But now to become a one-stop V3 stop is now Verstappen tries to go around our outside there. We're going to do some good defensive driving, just about squeeze him and pinch him on the exit to maintain that P2. But for how long can we keep this up? Because those soft tyres are going to be much better at the end of this Grand Prix than his mediums will be. And Brent Hartley, the TYRE also might join us soon enough, because he's not too far off myself and Verstappen. But across the line, lap 29, here goes Verstappen with a dive into turn 1 for P2 in this Grand Prix, but he goes way too deep. We're able to do a very nice switch back, and we're back up into P2. So Verstappen maybe a little bit too eager there and needs to learn some patience. But Hartley now comes out of nowhere with the dive bomb on Verstappen himself. So Hartley just Verstappen there into turn 3, I think that was, or turn 2, whatever it is. But the case is now Verstappen and Hartley are coming at me. Look at that attack from both sides between the two Red Bull families there. Hartley on the left, Verstappen on the right. It's 3-1 to the hairpin. The lock up on the front right as we narrowly miss making contact with either of those drivers, and Verstappen will ultimately come out on top in P2 and Hartley behind us. So a double-pronged attack, and I can't keep both of them at bay. I can keep one of them at bay, but Verstappen gets it fair and square, and he's up into P2. And you can see with the understeer I've got, I just don't have too much grip left in his medium, so I don't know how much I can gain back on Verstappen in this straight line. Though we tried to come back at him, but I just don't have enough speed right at the end of the straight to make a good enough dive bomb to actually make that move. I definitely would have made some contact with Verstappen if I had try to dive bomb it there, but you saw how rapidly we closed up with DRS there, so that's how good the Ferrari can be in a straight line when we have that rear flap open. But it's just proving difficult to get close enough to Verstappen's rear end to make a move properly. And now by the time we get to lap 33 with 2 laps to go in this race, Hartley's going to close up on us, and so now we might have to say goodbye to P3 as Hartley's cleanly past us. Then DRS closes in the brake zone and he's up the order, and we've got Ricciardo behind us. I hope we don't lose one more position to the Australian man. Actually, in fact, we're going to move on to the last lap of the Grand Prix, and we're going to try maybe one last ditch effort. We're within 1 second of Hartley, so we have DRS. We're going to open it up, overtake mode on the ERS, rich mix going. We're going to gain a heap there once the DRS and slipstream kick in, and we're going to reel Hartley in bit by bit. But is there going to be enough of this straight to pull him in to make a move down the inside there? We're gaining down the inside. We're going to have to go for it. We have a little pop there, but a lock up on both tyres. There's ultimately, I saw last minute, that was not going to end well. I've actually went full on and committed to that, so we lose the place there and just come off a little bit worse for wear with some slight contact on the front left, but that could have been much nastier. And so in the end of it, just like with Verstappen, left frustrated, not just enough oomph in the last kind of part of the 8th gear, and so ultimately we come across the line for P4 in this Grand Prix. It's still pretty damn good considering we're P12, but we were P2 at one point, but the soft tyre was just too much for us at the end on Hartley and Verstappen. But I'll take P4 happily compared to where Vettel finished off.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
It was a magnificent race and a drive right out of the top draw to take the win for Renault. And Anthony Davidson, give me your thoughts. How did they accomplish this result?
Well, they played the safety car to absolute perfection. There are so many factors to worry about once the race is neutralised. I mean, do you pit for fresh rubber? Do you have the space behind you? How much fuel can you save? If you answer all of those questions correctly, you'll have a good chance. And that's exactly what happened today.
And now it's time to wind down and celebrate after that fantastic Grand Prix. Here they come, your top 3, out onto the podium.
So in the end there, the race screen confirms to us a very weird Grand Prix and major tyre issues for the entire grid there, because a lot of people did the 3-stop. There's only a handful of the top 10, the kind of top 7 that all managed either a 2 or a 1-stop, but everyone after that, P8 lower, did a 3-stop. Very, very weird. Both McLarens out the points after what was a very strong showing the first stint, and so it means there in the end, ultimately we maintain the kind of lead we had on Alonso, but Hülkenberg now is come back back into the picture. So surprise, surprise, the reigning world champion from last season is back in the frame, maybe to start chasing after myself and overtake Alonso at least for P2 in the championship there. Vettel slips down the order. Constructors-wise, Renault now close up on us somewhat in the Constructors in that P2, and Red Bull actually overtake McLaren back up into P3 after slumping down to P4 for a bit. Yeah, very odd Grand Prix. I've never seen the 3-stop at Hockenheim. I don't know what it was. It seemed like maybe just everyone used way too many ultras in qualifying because it was so competitive and they just didn't have any fresh ultras, but they were so stubborn at using those ultras in the race, it just didn't work out for them. Whatever the case was, worked to our benefit and worked to the entire top 7's benefit, although all those 2-stoppers gained places just simply because so many of the grid went to 3-stop. So yeah, very, very odd. I think that might be the first genuine 3-stop I've seen in the F1 2018 game, I think, when there wasn't like any rain involved, just pure tyre wear and tyre issues caused those 3-stops. Yeah, very weird. But anyway, we're going to move on to the last interviews then, see what Claire has to say and see if we're going to get ourselves into any more trouble with Ferrari. I think we did pretty okay, everything considered, to be honest, today in today's race.
Good day today. Tell us about it from your perspective. You were cutting your way through the field during the race.
Going to compliment the power unit because obviously it was working well and almost gave us the P2, but in the end just wasn't quite enough.
You and your rival are having a close battle this season. Who do you think will come out on top?
And so far, I think I'm the one leading this second rivalry with Vettel, but I'm just going to say I'm enjoying the competition. Massive respect for Vettel there.
Great. Well, that's everything.
So after that sportsmanship, last answer's going to come through, and confirmation there, we are leading that rivalry, and maybe we can try and finish it off next episode and win that rivalry against Vettel. We're comfortably winning the one against Ricciardo, but alas, still, the reputation is 0, and I actually go down a reputation somewhat to Renault and a few other teams there, despite getting P4, so yeah, very odd, and I still don't know how that's going to actually work out for contract negotiations next time if my reputation is literally 0. So we'll see about that. But in terms of the upgrades, we obviously just applauded our engine power and the power unit, so I think this might be a good cause to finally work on the engine a bit. We haven't touched the engine since maybe Italy last season, because our engine has still been the best engine on the grid. No one's overtaken us in the engine department, but I don't feel like spending any resource points anywhere else, so we're going to actually go to the engine department and we're going to purchase the final pure engine power upgrade, because the other 2 upgrades are purely for fuel saving. So this is the final pure engine power upgrade I can purchase on this Ferrari car, and so you can see we're still maintaining the best engine on the grid with McLaren in 2nd place and Renault in 3rd, but we're going to go one step higher. So for the Belgian Grand Prix, we'll go even further with this V6 Ferrari engine, and hopefully that will maybe give us that last bit of oomph that might have helped us overtake Hartley and Verstappen in that Grand Prix. But nonetheless, guys, I think that was a pretty good Grand Prix for us, all things considered, starting from P12 today. So guys, if you did enjoy the Grand Prix, be sure to smash that like button. Let me know your thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, do get subscribed for weekly full-on content. I've been aarava. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.